Now 8.3. 8.3 basically are the word problems. Now our real chapter test, we have many word problems because this is the state required section. So if you take Algebra 2, you need to learn how to solve for the word problems. Now this section show you basically 7 different types of the word problems. But here question 1 mention 1, 2, 3, 4 different type of the word problems. We need to really go over. First, okay, let me choose the color. Choose which color is better. This color. Okay. Now, number 1, number 2. I think there's a real life interest. Number 1, deal with the money. You is real life. It's easy for you. Number 2, same thing. Interest rate. Interest rate amount depends on how many years you put your money on the bank. So it's the rate multiplied t the time. So number 1, number 2 is easy, but the number 3 and the number 4 is harder. And then we should have number 5 called mixture problem. And some other geometrical problem like so number 3, motion problem. Motion problem is pretty hard, and we have some examples on the homework. Now motion problem, first the speed. When you drive a car, how you calculate the average speed, the distance divided by time. For example, in 3 hours, you drove 120 miles. Then the speed is 40 miles per hour. So speed equals to distance divided by time. And so the author used the fact that rate equals to time. Okay, so speed equals to distance divided by time. Let me write down here. Speed equals to distance divided by time. Now I would like you to memorize. If you multiply t on both sides, they are still the same equation, right? So you have s times t equals to d. So distance equal to speed multiplied time. I would like you to memorize this formula. But sometimes it's more useful if you can memorize all 3 different type of formula. Even though I say these 3 formula are the same formula. Okay, so originally we have t in the denominator. Number 2, we multiply t, so therefore there's no more denominator. But we can try the other type of the formula, which is I make a speed, or we say rate. Speed is rate, or we say speed. Okay, we can make a s on the denominator, and after you reduce s, then you have formula t equals to d divided by s. So this is formula 3. Okay. Now again, I'm always memorize this formula. But some students prefer number 3 formula. Some students prefer number 1 formula. Actually, they are all the same formulas. So number 3 is pretty hard. Why is it pretty hard? Because we don't just simply talking about the speed and the distance. We talk about 2 speed together. What's 2 speed together? For example, if you have a boat, and this boat sometimes you go upstream, sometimes you go downstream, and when you go upstream or downstream, the current has its own speed. So we say speed of current always go downstream, and the speed of current may push the boat. If the boat go upstream, if the boat go upstream, then the speed of the current will deduct, right? Will deduct the speed, push the boat back, make it slow down. And if you try to go downstream, then the current will push you down. So you are going to, the boat will go faster. So here, if you go upstream, then your speed will be deducted by the current. And if you go downstream, the speed will be pushed plus by the current. So you need to take all these type of things into consideration when you deal with the order problem. So it's pretty hard. And we have some question. You have a train go this direction, and the other train go that direction. How far it is will be after a few hours, or if you have two trains that goes to each other. So complicated on the real life situation. So you want to read all the problem and then think about how to do it. Now, that's not possible. I can go over every different type of the order problem because we have boat, we have train, we have bicycle, and we can have airplane. And you can go two different direction, or you can bump to each other, or you can both go to the same direction. So many different type of the order problem may happen. Therefore, I will just follow the homework example and show you those few type of the examples on the homework, and that's it. And if when you do homework, who knows what type of order problem will show up, and you have to think. But anyway, if you have question, you may always ask in the class time. And the number 4, number 4 is talking about downstream and upstream. So I just talk about it right now. And we have a mixture problem. Mixture problem, when we have the question, I will show you. And the geometry is talking about the angle. We are going to have to see this type of the order problem in this section. Okay. So keep going. Let me see. Number 2 questions. Number 2 questions. This is a real life question. I will let you try by yourself, and the answer key is in the end of this page. Now, motion problems, I just explained. We have 3 different types of the order the formulas based on the same formula. So, number 3. Number 4, geometry. Talking about the no, number 4 is not. Number 5 is the geometry. Sorry. Number 4. Number 4 is the real life problem, right? You send the email and the receive email. If total email is 110, and they tell you the relationship between the receiving email and the send out email, and then you may have 2 equations. After you set up the equations, then you can decide that you want to use substitution method or elimination method. Obviously, R has been solved. R has been isolated. Therefore, you want to use substitution method. Just substitute this Okay, so you may calculate by yourself and check the answer key in the end. Number 5, I show you the detail work. And the number 5 is talking about if two angles are supplementary. What supplementary means? I think I mentioned that earlier. Two angles supplementary means two angles plus together equals to 180. So this becomes the equation 1. So that's equation 1. And the one angle is 3 days. Remember, 3 days, you need to take away 3 after twice the angle. So that's equation 2. Now, step 1, you don't have xy yet. So don't use x and y. Who knows what's xy? So you say measure of the angle 1 plus measure of the angle 2. This means measure. Is 180. So this is equation 1. And this is equation 2. And then we don't like to use very complicated notation. Therefore, we say that x be measure angle 1 and the y be measure angle 2. Now, when you go to section 8.5, step 2 is very important because when you have more than one unknown number, more than 2 unknown number, you have 3 unknown number, 4 unknown number. If you don't tell yourself what's x, what's y, what's z, what's p, q, r, then after you solve for many unknowns, you don't remember which one is which. You don't know x is for orange or y is for banana. You don't have any idea. You don't remember. So therefore, it's very important. You need to state what your x means, what your y means. Then after you say x is measure angle 1, then you replace measure angle 1 by x. So this become x and this become y, right? Therefore, okay, so you have equation 1 and the equation 2, then you solve for the equation. So here I show you the complete calculation work for you. You can use the substitution method in this case, and then you can solve. Now, after you solve for x and y, then you need to answer. How you answer? Very important. Let me show you. When you want to answer, step 5, last step, you need to answer. Now, your answer need to match with your step 2. So, how you answer step 5? You simply copy from step 2. You just don't say that. Okay, you say measure angle 1 is x here, right? And with the unit. Unit is very important for the order problem. And the measure angle 2 is y is 61 degree. You need to put the degree unit. So this is the first example. I show you complete step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is state requirement for you to show 5 steps. And these 5 steps will be printed out on the test sheet. When you do online homework, you don't need to show work, but you need to practice with how to show 5 steps. So first step, so for example, if one question was 5%, pretend this question was 5% for the test, then each step will was 1%. 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, and the answer 1%. Okay? So if you don't take a note, you don't set unknown, most students would like to start from step 3. Then you are going to earn at most 3% for this question. And some students, they forgot to write down the answer with units. Then you have, and you only do step 3 and step 4. Then you have only 2% from this question. Okay. And basically, I don't supposed to give you any credit for if you don't write down step 2. Why? Because when you say x plus y equal to 180, you didn't tell me what's x, what's y. Why I need to read your paper with I don't know what x means. I need to pretend I understand your x means major angle 1. I need to pretend I understand your y means major angle 2. It doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so basically if you don't have step 2, I don't supposed to read your question. Okay, so understand the step 2 is the most important. Set unknown. Is the most important step you have to show the work for your test. So number 6, I show you. I didn't do number 6 because too many questions. I'm not going to waste you too much time watching video for every questions. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step 1, you need to read and take a note. Now read and take a note depends on what type of question. Different type of question you may follow the guideline to show the work. For some question is kind of freestyle. You can show any type of work you want for read and take a note. And for mixture problem or motion problem, you need to make a chart or make a table to show the steps. So on the classwork, I am going to show you when we see the examples. Step 2, the most important step, set unknown. Step 3, you set the equation. Use the unknown to set the equation. And then, basically, let me give you a hint. After you set the unknown, you use those unknown and go back to the note. Go back to your note, and then you can translate your note to become equations. Okay, so they are all together. Then after you have equations, then you solve and answer. Now, example 7, I want to show you. Some students don't want to write down step 2 to set unknown. Why? Because they don't know how to do it. And basically, if you read question 7, you read the question and then pay attention on very last sentence. How many tickets? So basically, they ask you how many tickets for each type. How many type? 2 different type. You have type 1 and sorry here tickets for type 1 and the type 2. You have 2 different type, right? So that's how you set unknown. They ask you how many type 1, how many type 2. Then you say assume we have X many type 1 sheet and we have Y many type 2 sheet. So how you do step 2? Basically, you follow the question in the end. They will ask you. So depends on what the question they ask you. You pretend you know the answer is X. Pretend you know the answer is Y. So it's not too hard to set unknown. Okay. Now number 8. When you have perimeter questions, perimeter means each side plus together. So you have 4 different sides, 2 length plus 2 width plus together we call it perimeter. So it's kind of formula for you. So if they say perimeter is 320, then you follow the formula. That's one equation, and then you translate the second sentence become second equation. And then for this question, obviously you may use substitution method because they solve for error for you already. Now we keep going. So that's a similar question. You can try by yourself. Number 11. Same thing. We are talking about the ticket, right? So I show my work. You can read. Okay. So step 1, you take a note. Just make a shortcut for your whole sentence. And then step 2 depends on what they ask you. They ask you how many lower, how many upper. So you say there are X lower and Y upper. So this is X and Y. And then you try to solve for X and Y. Okay, so you assume there's X lower and Y upper. And then after you have X, Y, then you know this is X, this is Y, this is X, this is Y, right? So you have equation X plus Y, equation 2. This is equation 2. This is equation 1. So your step 1 basically is ready for your step 3. And the step 2, just try to use step 1, but you plug in X and Y. So step 1, 2, 3, basically they are all together. So please go home, try, and if you still have questions, let me know. Number 12, same thing. When you try to take a note, you already find out you have equation 1 and equation 2. And then step 2, you don't know what to use. How many use ticket? You don't know how many adult tickets. So you say, pretend it's X and Y. And then you plug in X and Y to the use and adult ticket number, and then calculate. Now, number 13, you can try by yourself. Number 14 is a mixture problem. Now, mixture problem, we may include step 1 and step 2 inside a table or a chart. Therefore, you don't need to make a set unknown too complicated. Okay, we can directly, because under 40% acid, you already have, you put the X. So obviously X is the unknown number for 40% acid. So when you make a chart, you don't need to write down step 2 again. Okay, so a mixture problem basically is you have two type of the solution you want to mix together to become different type of the solutions. Now let me draw a picture for you so you can understand better. I need more space. Okay. So mixture problem usually I will draw like a 40% acid. What's a 40% acid means? Means if you have a container, you have 60% of water and 40% of the acid. And then another container, you have 70% of the acid and only 30% of water. So with these two different type of the solution, you want to mix together to become the third type. You mix them together, but not one by one. So that's a problem. So how many liter or how many pounds or how many, whatever the units, how many millimeter, right? And 1 millimeter. You don't know which one is bigger, which one is smaller, not just 1 to 1. 1 to 1 we just average, right? Okay, and in the end you want to have 46% of the mixture, and this is just water. So all we care is how many acid, how much percent on here. So this totally should be X plus Y for sure. Now, sometimes they tell you X plus Y is 100. So this become one equation. Sometimes they tell you this is 100, this is Y, this is X, probably. Depends on the question. So you want to read to see where is your X and Y, where is your unknown number. Sometimes unknown number is here, sometimes unknown number is there. Okay, depends on the question. So first, you count the total container is x plus y equal to 100 totally, the total solution. And the second, so this is the first equation. And the second equation usually we count the percentage of the acid. So 40% of the x. So 40% times x is the acid. And the 70% times y container is y millimeter is 0.7 y acid. So acid plus acid is the total acid. You have x plus y millimeter, and out of x plus y millimeter, only 46% are the acid. So you have 46% times 100 millimeter acid. So first you calculate total solution, how many millimeter, and then you calculate how many acid total in the container. So by this way, you have two different type of the two different equation, and then you may simplify. Okay, and here, as long as you multiply negative 0.4 here, then you may have an opposite number to cancel out. Okay, and sometimes you need to choose number to multiply on the equation 1 and the equation 2. When we see the problem example, I will show you. But right now, this calculation, because you may use a substitution method, but I want to show you, you can use simply multiply negative 0.4, negative 0.4, and you also need to multiply negative 0.4 here. Don't forget. And after you multiply every single term with negative 0.4, then you can easily cancel out by elimination method and solve for y. So after you solve for the equation, you answer the question. Okay. Number 16. I show my step 1 and step 2 on the chart. And the step 3, simply same thing, mixture problem. The total solution plus together is equation 1. And then you calculate the how many protein in the container 1, container 2, and the mixture container together, how many protein together. So you have two equations. So I will just solve it by yourself. Now, when you talk about the number 17, you invest your money. So your total, you can make a chart. Okay, you invest your money to two different type of the interest rate. So it's very similar to the mixture problem, but a little bit different. Okay, so this real life, I think is really easy to understand. I show all my detailed calculation work. You can read. So number 20, motion problem. I say motion problem is the hardest one. Motion problem. Now you have to read the question and then understand question first. So let me explain this question first. This question means a train. First train is slower than the other train, so we let the first train go 4 hours first, and then 4 hours after we have second train which is faster and try to catch up. Therefore, we ask you when they are going to meet each other. So let me show my work. I take a note because you need to draw a picture to understand the question. So first train start 4 hours earlier, and because it's slow, so when 4 hours later, when the faster train try to catch up, first hour not catch up yet, and the second hour not yet, and the third hour, wow, catch up, and then they meet each other. Okay, so this is the situation. But how we make a chart? Always, when you see motion problem, you always make this chart. Always. Okay? So trust me, it always work. So you use distance equal to speed multiplied time. And they travel to the same distance. Do you see that? So distance are the same. And the speed are different. You can read the question to find the different speed. Now, you don't know how many hours. After calculation, I know it's 3 hours. But we didn't know before we do the calculation, so pretend the second train need to take us t hours to catch up. And so speed multiplied time equals to distance. That's for second train. But the first train spent 4 plus t hours because the first train started 4 hours earlier. So 4 plus t is the traveling hours multiplied the speed equals to d. Therefore, you are going to have two equations. So that's equation 1, that's equation 2. Then you can solve it. Now, this question, basically, you don't need the two equations. Why? Because these two d are the same. So we don't need we just skip d. Equation 1 actually equals to equation 2. So this one from equation 1 equals to this one from equation 2. So they both equal to d. So it's kind of substitution method. You substitute 2 into equation 1. You substitute everything to d. So you have left hand side and the right hand side. And then you have only one unknown number. You can solve for t. So this is number 20. And the number 21 you can try by yourself. And let's try number 22. And you may wonder why teacher choose number 22, why I don't choose number 21. Because number 22 has more space for me to show work. That's why. But you need to try everyone homework question. I know it's a lot work, but consider this is online teaching class, and when you take a test, it's at home test, right? So the most important thing is you need to do a lot of practice to satisfy your teacher. If you finish all the homework, then I know you learn because you do finish all the homework and earn the credit from the homework. Then I will believe you. You are qualified for this class, right? So I know a lot of homework, but you do need to try everyone homework question. Now, number 22, I draw a picture for you. This airplane, and the airplane, they tell you there's a tailwind. Tailwind means the wind push you. The wind push you. Oh, how come this one cover? Okay, it's gone. So the wind push the airplane from the tail. So make the airplane go faster. Now this question is complicated because they tell you something called the same as the time required to continue to learn them. No return points. Okay, let me make this one. You can see. Okay. Okay. So you have to understand the definition of the point, the first point of no return. What's the point of no return? So pretend you want to go from here to there. And if you go more than half, do you want to return? Then you don't want to. You want to keep going. If you just walk out your house a little bit and you say, okay, I want to give up. I want to go home. Then that's easy, right? But if you have left your home and you walk more than half the distance, you will consider I just keep going to finish my my traveling. Why I would bother to go back to give up my traveling? So basically, if there's no wind, then I will say the middle point will be the point of return. You may want to decide in the middle of the distance. I want to decide to keep going or I want to go home. Now, when you have a tailwind, you have to understand that the middle point is not the return point because both way you have two different speed. Okay, so it's fun to calculate and it's headache to calculate what's the no return point. So because the tailwind for the first trip, so you may go faster. And if you want to return back, then there's a headwind to against the airplane. So when you want to go return, it take more time. But you don't need to use your brain to have so much headache. We just calculate. Okay. So I show my step one, take a note, and also step one, you need to draw more pictures. Where is the point of no return? So pretend point of no return is here. Now, if a flight from New York to London has tailwind, so this direction has tailwind, right? And this direction has no tailwind, so slower. Now, has tailwind, you have to plus the tailwind. So from New York to London has tailwind. New York to London. Okay. I forgot how I did. Anyway, so from New York to London, there's a New York to London. There's a tailwind, so you plus. And from London back to the return way. Okay, return way you not go to London yet, right? And from London you have headwind, so you have subtract. And from New York to the point, you have plus. Now, so you calculate and see the answer. Let me see my answer is right or wrong, because I kind of New York to London, London to New York. I probably make up shit, but that's fine. Let me see. Number 22. Number 22. What's the answer? 1585. Oh, I did right. 1585. So I did right. Okay. So please read the question and try to understand. And then after you set up, so because is not the middle point, so if this way is d, the other way will be 3458 minus dy, because the total distance is the total distance total is 34158. 3458 for together. Okay, and then if this part already take a d distance, then this part you just minus d. So you have two parts. And after you set up this chart, then this is the equation 1. Okay, this is equation 1. You follow. Distance equal to speed multiplied time. And this distance equal to speed multiplied time. So you have equation 1, equation 2. I write down here equation 1 and the equation 2. Distance equals speed multiplied time. Distance, that's a formula, equals to speed multiplied time. And then your job is try to solve for the system of two equations. Now, I show you my work. I use a very tricky way to calculate. So let me erase those ugly mark and let me show you. There's a very special type of calculations. Since equation 1 and the equation 2, this left hand side equal to right hand side, right? So actually this calculation, I use left hand side divided by left hand side equal to right hand side divided by right hand side. So left hand side divided by left hand side here equal to right hand side divided by right hand side here. This is right hand side divided by right hand side. Why I do that? Because you can easily cancel out D. Why you are allowed to cancel out T? Because there's a multiplication. When you have addition, can you cancel out? No. Don't cancel out with addition, subtraction. Don't do that. Okay? Only when there's a multiplication, you are allowed to cancel out the multiplication T. And after you cancel out T, you have only one unknown number D. Then you try to do cross multiply. Cross multiply. So numerator multiply, go across the equal sign, and then numerator multiply denominator equals to numerator multiply denominator. Okay, so you may try to do all the calculations, and if you still have more questions, you may ask me in the class time. And the number 23, number 23, I think this is a real life situation. I would like you to try to read by yourself, and then you can, if you have questions, you can ask me in the class time. I think that this should be easy for you. Okay. So number 25. Number 25, step 1, step 2, I put on the chart. You can do so. And the step 3, you can follow the equation 1 here and the equation 2. Now, I want to emphasize. When you are dealing with the dollar bill, then you need to do with dollar bill. But if you don't like a decimal number, if you want, you can change it to the cents, because we are talking about the coin, right? So by this way, if you want to deal with the cent, then you need to change dollar to 950 cents, and you change $20 to 2,000 cents. That's very important, okay? Because you are dealing with cents here. So if you make a cents on the left hand side and then you make a dollar on the right hand side, you are going to have wrong answer. Okay, so this is the only one thing important for number 25, and then I show my work. You can read by yourself. So I'm done with the 8.3. So see you next time. Bye bye.